At 80 years old, I finally understand what nobody wants to tell you. I'm 80 years old, and I'm about to share something that your parents, your therapist, and all those self-help books will never tell you. Not because it's a secret, but because it's too raw, too real, too painful to accept. I've lived 8 complete decades. I've buried my wife, a son, and almost everyone I knew before turning 50. I've watched the world change 3 times over, and in all this time, I've learned one truth that haunts me every day. We all live as if we have forever ahead of us, when we barely have anything at all. But let me tell you when I actually learned this. Not at 70, not at 60, not even at 50. I learned it at 35 years old. And it took me another 45 years to fully understand what that moment was trying to teach me. It was 1979, March 23rd. I remember because it was Friday, and I'd planned to take my wife, Elena, to the movies that weekend. We'd been married 10 years. We had 2 boys, Miguel and Roberto. I worked in construction. Every morning, without fail, I'd kiss Elena on the forehead and say, "See you tonight, my love." Except that Friday she didn't come home. It was a car accident, a truck that ran a red light, a second of distraction, an entire life erased in an instant. The paramedics told me it was quick, that she didn't suffer. But they always say that, don't they? What they don't tell you is that when someone dies suddenly, they take all your unsaid words with them. Every "I love you" you thought you'd say tomorrow. Every apology you postponed. Every moment when you were too busy, too tired, too distracted to simply be present. That night, sitting alone in our kitchen, I made myself a promise. I promised I would never waste another day. I promised to live with intention, love openly, never postpone joy, never leave important words unsaid. And you know what? I broke that promise almost immediately. Sure, at first I thought I was living better. I hugged my boys more. I told them I love you more often. But then life happens. I got absorbed in work again. The boys grew up. I told myself I was fine, that I'd learned the lesson. But I hadn't, because this is what I didn't understand at 35. It's not enough to survive a tragedy and tell yourself you've changed. The real lesson isn't that life is short. Every greeting card says that. The real lesson is that you're going to forget. You're going to go back on autopilot. You're going to start believing you have time again. And that forgetting, that slow return to complacency, that's the real tragedy. I remarried in 1982. Marta, a wonderful woman. We had 35 years together before cancer took her. And you know what my biggest regret is from those 35 years? Not the fights we had, not the disagreements. My biggest regret is all those ordinary Tuesdays I spent watching television instead of being with her. All the times I said "not now, I'm busy" when she wanted to talk. All the moments I treated as if they were guaranteed. Because this is what nobody tells you about reaching my age. You don't just lose people once when they die. You lose them again and again in your memory. Every time you think about them, you remember another moment you wasted. Another conversation where you were too distracted to really listen. Another hug you cut too short. My son Roberto died in 2003. He was 52 years old, a heart attack in his sleep. I was 58. 2 weeks before he died, he told me, "Dad, sorry I don't visit more often. Work has been really heavy." I told him not to worry, that I understood, that there would be time. There wasn't. There never is. You're young. You're sitting there thinking, this is depressing. This old man is just bitter. But you're missing the point. The point isn't that everyone dies eventually. The point is that you're acting as if you're the exception to this rule. You're living as if the people you love aren't going to die or disappear. As if you'll have time later to live how you really want to live. I'm 80 years old, and I can tell you with absolute certainty that later you keep waiting for never comes. You think you'll travel when you retire. Your knees will be destroyed by then. You think you'll reconnect with your brother after this busy period at work. That busy period will last 15 years, and then he'll be gone. You think you'll call your father next week when you have more time. He'll die waiting for that call. Because here's the cruel truth. You do have time right now. You just don't value it correctly. You trade it for things that don't matter. You spend it on people who drain you. You waste it worrying about things that won't matter in 5 years. Your grandfather, if he's still alive, when was the last time you really called him to ask for something? But to really talk to him, to tell him you love him. Because I'm a grandfather. I'm a great-grandfather. And I can tell you exactly what your grandfather is doing right now. He's sitting somewhere, probably alone, looking at old photos, and he's thinking about all the people who don't call anymore. He tells himself it's okay, that he understands, that everyone is busy, but it breaks his heart a little more each day. Your parents, if they're still alive, aren't going to be here forever. And when they're gone, you're not going to care about that argument you had 5 years ago. You're going to care about all the phone calls you didn't make, all the visits you postponed, all the times you could have simply sat with them and didn't. I had 2 sons. Roberto died 21 years ago. Miguel is 73 now. He visits me every Sunday without fail. And you know what? It's not enough. Not because he's not a good son. He's wonderful. But because no amount of time is enough when you truly love someone. Every Sunday when he leaves, I think, will I see him again? At my age, every goodbye could be the last. And that's not morbid. That's just mathematics. But here's what you need to understand. It's not different for you just because you're young. Every goodbye you give could be the last one too. You just don't believe it yet. I have a great-grandson. His name is Daniel. He's 18. Last month he came to visit me and spent the whole time looking at his phone. I didn't say anything. What's the point? He thinks he has forever. He thinks this moment will always be available. It won't be. And someday he'll remember that visit and remember he spent it looking at his phone. And it will hurt him in ways he can't imagine yet. That's what I want to save you from. Not the regret of big mistakes, but the regret of simple absence. Of being physically present but mentally somewhere else. Of treating the people you love as if they'll always be there. They won't always be there. I'm not going to be here much longer. I can feel it. My body is tired. It's been working for 8 decades, and it's ready to rest. And honestly, I'm okay with that. I've had a long life, much longer than I deserved or expected. But I'm not okay with the thought that you might waste yours the way I wasted so much of mine. Because here's the truth. I learned 45 years too late. The moments that matter aren't the big ones. Not your wedding, or your graduation, or your promotion. Those are wonderful, but they're not what you'll think about at the end. You'll think about that Tuesday afternoon when your dad tried to teach you to fix the car and you were patient instead of annoyed. You'll think about that Saturday morning when you made pancakes with your kids and nobody was in a hurry. You'll think about the walk you took with your wife when you actually listened instead of planning what to say next. Those moments, the ordinary, unglamorous, utterly unremarkable moments when you were just there, fully there. Those are the ones that matter. And they're available to you right now, today, this moment. But you have to choose them. You have to fight for them. Because everything in our world is designed to pull you away from them. Your phone, your work, your ambitions, your fears, your endless to-do list. If I could go back to that 35-year-old version of me, standing in that kitchen, the night Elena died, here's what I would tell him. The promise you're making right now to never waste another day, you're going to break it. You're going to break it again and again. Because you're human. And humans forget. But here's your real job. Remember and return. Remember and return. Every time you forget, Every time you drift back into distraction and busyness and taking people for granted, notice it and return. Return to presence. Return to attention. Return to love. Not perfectly, but persistently. I'm 80 years old. I've been alive for more than 29,000 days. And I can count on one hand the days when I was fully, completely, absolutely present. That's my real regret. Not that I didn't achieve more, or travel more, or make more money, but that I sleepwalked through most of my own life. Don't do what I did. Don't wait 45 years to learn this. Don't wait until everyone you love is gone to realize you should have loved them better when they were here. Stop reading this and call someone you love. Stop reading this and go sit with someone in silence. Stop reading this and really look at the people in your life while they're still here to be looked at. Because I promise you, with everything I have left, that later you keep waiting for never comes. The only moment you have is now. It's always been now. It will always be now. Use it.